What up, Challenge fans? I'm Sarah here hanging out with my friend Jay, Vital Alliance podcast. We just watched episode 3 of the challenge, Spies, Lies, and Allies. This episode was titled
Truce or Dare? Oh my goodness, Truce or Dare? Okay. Tori, is it a truce? Are we gonna dare to do something? I guess we're gonna find out. I guess that's why we're naming this. I mean, we could have named this Two Birds, One Stone.
Two stones, one bird.
Either way, how about that could have been it, because this episode was very confusing for me.
I give it a solid eh.
Yeah.
You know, like if I were binge watching this and I watched last week's episode and I'd be sitting there and it'd be, you know, doing that countdown. Okay, heck yeah, I'm going to watch another episode, right?
Sure.
Then about halfway through this episode, it's like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to watch another one. I think this will be time to go to bed after this episode. However, there was a really good preview for next week. Okay. So, but this was kind of one of those filler episodes that's kind of, you know, showing us, it's planting the seeds of things for later, I feel like.
Thinking about this and doing the podcast, how dare you, MTV Production, give us episode 2?
Right.
You and me, my friend.
It was so good.
Deliver such a great podcast, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, whatever else show together, you and I, talking about we've never seen an episode 2 out of all the seasons we've watched. We've gained some other listeners and people watching it.
For sure.
And then now they're looking forward to Wednesday night. And then MTV, you give us...
Truce or Dare.
Well, I guess we can unpack it, but, I mean, let's get through some of the things. I mean, thinking of the new people that are following and listening, you know, follow us on Twitter, I guess, and everything else.
Yeah, so on Twitter, we're Final Alliance 1, Instagram, Final Alliance, and then, you know, YouTube, Spotify, all that. It's just Final Alliance podcast. Our producer had this brilliant idea last week
you didn't sell that well enough. Our producer, how great he
it
is.
just feels stupid to say producer because it's like really not that big that we have a producer.
But it is.
But, you know,
so
our producer
unbelievable
came up with this great idea to do little like teaser clips from our show and put them on Twitter. Brilliant. So he took our talking about our man Kells.
Yep.
And a couple other ones, and put them on Twitter where we were just talking strategy, you know, how, if you remember back, how, you know, we feel like he's going to get screwed over a couple more times before he's had enough, and then he's really going to come in
and
big.
He's going to turn into the next Leroy, where he's going to, like, say, enough's enough.
Right.
Yeah.
And he actually quoted and retweeted that and said, would love to talk to these guys. Let's talk strategy. You know, that video ended up getting more views than our typical, you know, 30, 40.
Sure.
And we're in talks to potentially have a little interview with him.
I know.
It's so
great.
exciting.
It is great. So, yeah, that's amazing that we could have him on, because he said, I'll talk about our strategy, because we just kind of said he's a little laid back. So now we get to hear, like, why he was laid back going into it. So if it comes to fruition, unbelievable.
Oh my gosh,
and it's so great that we got to reach out
flattering
that way.
and humbling. And I mean, we've, you know, this is just some fun hobby that we started, and maybe potentially to be talking to somebody who is on the show is like so freaking cool.
So I do want to talk about this episode.
Oh yeah, I guess that's why we're here, huh?
Yeah. Again, you gave us a great episode 2. Are we on? Tell me right now, before we break it down, is this episode 3 about we are supposed to care about the rookies? Let's put ourselves in the producers, not our producer, the producers of the MTV The Challenge show. Is this one about we want you to care about the rookies and their input? Because we're not seeing our usual in this.
I think it's about the fact that there's maybe some cracks in that veterans alliance.
Okay.
They're showing a little bit, you know, we should care about the rookies, but they didn't really dive deep. Like, I feel like if they're trying to tell me to care about the rookies, you know, give me like somebody's backstory about how their life was really hard, like really like hero them to me.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Great. Yep.
So I think this is about how the veterans are kind of, there's some cracks in the foundation there.
Okay. I think that's fair. And I think maybe it's a foreshadowing.
Oh, yes.
Because if you and I were going to talk about this, and if we were talking about how this Ultimate aligns veterans, and we really broke it down instead of we've done episodes instead of like what we think is going to happen. I think you and I would say like eventually the veterans are going to turn on each other. They're going to start figuring out who, because you need to find the shield, like using a rookie to shield yourself for a little bit. So,
absolutely. And it almost happened today where they started turning on each other.
Yes.
It was very, very, very close. So you want to walk through the episode?
Absolutely.
All right. So we come in after Emmy and Ed's win. Now we know Tori and Ed are partners, and Emmy and Devin are partners.
Yeah.
Was it Tori that carried Ed through the threshold, like they just got married, or was it Ed that carried Tori?
You know what? I'm not for certain either.
Yeah. And then someone tried to carry Devin in because he was like, "Yeah, I'm the best guy ever too." We see this cute little dinner date between Ed and Tori, and they've got this bowl of red cabbage that they're having as their dinner. And she's like, "Hey, we got to become friends really quick, because we're going to be teammates." It's very obvious that they play off each other well. She's happy they're partners. She loves his positivity. She's like, "Look, I've been here a while." I forget exactly what she said, but she basically said, like, "I need this positivity in the game, like what I'm getting from him."
Yeah. Okay.
So I liked them.
And I did see that because Tori can find a negative in other things or people or whatever else. And I can see how she's looking at like, this could benefit my game because I don't usually have that positive side. And Ed, he's a sunshine, a rainbow of positivity.
He's a freaking
sweetheart of an individual.
He's a puppy. I just love him. It just makes you happy.
Yeah.
Then we go into this kind of low-key day off is what I called it. So, we've got Big T and Fessy talking. Big T, says in her interview that she's like, "I know I'm the low man on the totem pole for the vets." But she also says to Fessy that she didn't really know about this plan that happened in the last episode about who was going in. So she knows she's low man on the totem pole. It comes out a couple times later that she might be playing both sides, potentially.
Yes, it does. Yep.
Then we got Nelly T's boot camp to Nicki Minaj's Anaconda.
Yeah.
It was just this montage of them working out for a while.
It's a filler. It was a filler. I think we can talk.
I mean, I liked that I got to see him working out and looking happy and stuff. And then most of the vets you see are laying by the pool.
Yeah.
They're like, okay. Nelly and Berna, obviously, he dropped Ashley like, whew.
Like a murder weapon.
And he's like boot up with Berna like now.
Yeah. And
it appears
editing,
like the next day.
Yeah. And a lot of his one-on-ones, a lot of it, we'll talk more and more about editing. I'll talk more about editing going on further, but yes.
Then we've got Coriel talking to Gabo. It seems people want to try to talk strategy with Gabo all the time. It's happened a couple times. There was Nam with him earlier, and now it's Gabo with Coriel.
Can I ask you this? Is it like talking to like maybe your pet when you know you're not getting anything back, but you're just talking out loud and you're looking for like eye
soundboard.
You have eye contact from something, and you're like, like, hey, this is what I did today, and maybe I should have done this, or maybe I'm going to do this, and like you have eye contact from something, knowing that it's never going to be reciprocated, like what you want to hear or need to hear, or the vice versa. Is that what Gabo is?
Potentially, maybe.
I think it might. I think he might be.
Like, he's just. I don't know why I have this love for him. He's like,
I don't know why either.
He's like, to me, like, if I like the person, I'm not going to vote him in. And it's like, oh, that's like a very rookie thing to say.
Okay.
Like, I would go in like, yes, I'm not going to vote in my friends. That person, helped me get my breakfast. They were nice. I'm not going to vote them in. That's obviously not the game. That's not the strategy and the way it works. But yeah, Coriel knows, he's pretty much going to just continue to go on, especially since he has another rookie partner. Gabo's thrilled that he's got Nani, and he's like, I'm safe because I got Nani, which actually did go to show that he got it a little bit more than he leads on.
Yeah. Well, hopefully
maybe
he gets it.
A couple things about, Emmanuel and Michelle. She likes him. That Emmanuel, that's the kind of Carney Jordan guy.
Yeah.
Who's a very good competitor.
And Michelle's great.
And she is great. And that's the chill day off. Then the challenge is activated. It's very obvious. It's the next morning. You see people like eating eggs and stuff, and we're ready to roll. And then we go into this challenge.
Yes.
I do not like this challenge at all. What I do like that it seems every challenge they've done so far this season, so the 3 episodes, they all have multiple steps.
Yep.
I like that. But this one, it seems so dangerous to me. So, they go up there and you can see that it's, the rocks and the water's kind of, patchy. It's called Sea Cave Recon. And they have to retrieve these bombs.
Yes.
Okay. So they jump off this 30-foot cliff into the violent sea, as our man TJ called it.
Yeah.
Really going for it. They recover the first bomb that's like right there. Then they're going to swim into this cave. There's another bomb in there. They swim out of the cave. The cave's pretty narrow.
Yep.
And dark. As a cave, I imagine, would be.
Sure. Yeah.
And then they hitch a ride on a jet ski. Then they got to swim to a checkpoint. And then they put their stuff, deactivate their bombs on like a table. I don't know. And whoever does it the fastest wins. So I will say this. I was anticipating multiple DQs on this. Multiple.
As is I. Yes.
And there was just the one, which that surprised the heck out of me. Now, you made a prediction last week when we were talking. You're like, okay, I hate a swimming challenge. There's going to be somebody that's just like losing their mind.
Yeah.
And immediately happens with our friend Huey. And I say friend because he kind of endeared me through all of this. So they're the first to go. It's Ashley and Huey and Anissa and Logan.
Yep.
And Huey is not thrilled.
No.
He's very nervous. He doesn't like heights.
At least he's not talkative about it. Yeah, sure.
And oh my God, he is so nervous. And Ashley's like, it's fine. Kids do this for fun, like da 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 da. And he's like, no, really, I don't think I can do it. And she pretends to push him, and then he gets really scared.
I don't blame him on that, but yeah.
You see, and she's like still laughing. And then you see him like throw up. Like he's like, that's how nervous he is, which that would be me. That would absolutely be me in this challenge. And then she's kind of, well, then I need a new partner, and I'm like, oh. He's turning around and she like smacks him on the butt. She's like, come on, you got to get your big butt and do this, And then meanwhile, Anissa and Logan are like, so we're going to swim and then we're going to they're very relaxed about this. So you have 2 like completely polar opposite teams going against each other. So they're all standing at the top of the rock, cuts to commercial. I'm still nervous for our boy Huey.
Yeah.
I really don't think he's going to do it. And he does.
He does.
I was so proud of him. I even like tweeted about it. I was like, good job, Huey. You faced your fear. And then it turns out that he's like the fastest swimmer out of all of them.
Well, hey, maybe it's just out of fear of doing anything.
And that's what he said. He's like, I was so scared. I thought I was going to die.
Well, that's I think maybe that's how I relate to him. The only time I'll relate to him. I don't like things that live in water. So if I ever get thrown off an inner tube or out of a boat, I'm faster than Michael Phelps. So
nice.
That's how I might relate to Huey in this whole time. The situation.
Yeah, I felt so bad for him. But yeah, so then it gets to the point where he's swimming so fast, he's got to like wait on Ashley. Mm-hmm. And he's like, they get to the end before Anissa and Logan, and he's there. He's got his bomb, and Ashley's like, I'm sure she was trying, but like kind of moseying in to put her bomb in.
Yeah.
So that kind of upset me because I was like, dude, they could have had that. But I don't know. Moving on. I was proud of him for how he conquered that and swam pretty well. Then we've got Coriel and Michelle going, and they are against Ed and Tori. Mm-hmm. We don't see a whole lot about this, but at some point, Michelle knocks her nose on something. She got this crazy bloody nose.
Yeah.
And Coriel is like, I can see that she's bleeding, but I'm not going to tell her right now because that's going to like mess with her, which I get. I would do,
Yeah.
And then Ed and Tori get there first. And then finally someone tells her that she's bleeding, and no big deal. She just kind of like, she's so chill.
This episode is bloody noses. Anyway,
I wrote that down. Yeah. I was like, nosebleeds.
Yeah.
There was no Ramadan talk. No Josh crying.
That's what I was going to.
One mention of snakes.
That's what I was going to ask you about the eggs thing. Like, did he eat? Did Fessy eat eggs during that time?
No mention.
Yeah, no mention. Okay, so all right.
So then we have several other groups go through. This next group is fun because we got Berna and CT. And then, when they're on the jet ski, then CT's butt comes out, So I guess those pants weren't very tight, Well,
he lost some weight.
That is true. Maybe they had it from the last, I did see he's wearing his wedding ring again, too. And on his Insta, he posted a picture with her. So they've worked it out. And good for him.
Well, thanks for giving me the tea there. Wow, I didn't know that.
I know. You can sleep well tonight. Yeah. You know now. And then Big T and Little T. Little T being Tommy.
Yeah.
And so CT's got his butt out, and then Little T's got his doodle out. Like, it's just like in the front, And of course, Huey's like just like having a great time. He's like, best challenge.
Yeah, it's so excited. Yeah, I've overcome my swimming, and I get to see more.
Said something about like at dinner, or I don't know. Yeah. And then he kind of he finishes the challenge and he just like leaves it out, and I'm like, dude, like what's going on? Then we come to find out that he's like not well.
Yeah. Yeah, when we get to that, we'll talk about it.
And, they say his pupils are dilated. Mm-hmm. He's throwing up. He doesn't remember the end of it. To me, that's like the most obvious concussion I've ever heard.
Sure.
But we didn't see what happened, so I don't know how.
We don't know why Nam left. We don't know.
Allegedly, Nam left.
Tommy has a concussion. We don't know this. Yeah.
Nam left allegedly because of COVID.
Okay.
Then that Lauren girl allegedly left because she said something racist to Anissa. That's what I researched and found out.
All right, well, good.
So
good
they scrubbed her from the whole thing. That's why I didn't recognize her or know who she was, because they just deleted her from everything, like they did
research.
With D.
Good, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone's
got to do some work outside of our producer, right? Yeah.
Right. So worried about him, but he was able to finish the challenge. Jeremiah and Tasha go, and then Corey and Bettina. Tasha and Jeremiah are the only team that is disqualified.
Yep.
I don't really know. They didn't get very far. They jumped into the water, got a little bit into the cave, and that was about it.
Yeah, it just didn't look like there was any type of teamwork or even knowing what they were supposed to do during the entire thing.
Right. And it's not like they were the first to go.
No.
So I don't know. Corey and Bettina go, and they do a great job. Esther and Fessy go and do a good job. Nellie and Priscilla go, do a good job. Devin and Emmy, we barely see, but I think we saw them jump off the cliff. This is where they do that speeding up in the middle. Nani and Gabo, same thing. Josh and Amber. I guess TJ called out Josh. He was like, nice swimming. Like, he was like, good job. So, Casey and Emmanuel, Amanda and Kyle. Kyle took a little bit of time to jump there at the, he was the last one to go. They didn't have anyone against them. I think that does have to have a effect. If you don't have someone directly competing with you, you don't really know where you're at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
And so Amanda jumps in the water. And Kyle's just like, it's really high. I don't want to go, And of course, Amanda makes the mom comment.
There it is. Finally, it was in our preseason over-under. How soon would it be that she said that she was a mom?
Yep. So, I mean, it's going to happen every episode. Yeah. Corey has been sleeping on the dad comments.
I know.
It's bizarro.
Well, they're doing it just fine on the Teen Mom commercials in between for him.
Oh, my God, right? Oh, my God. It's like Corey TV.
I like how you have the list of everyone that went down, because 80% of the people you named were not on this episode.
Right.
So thank you for bringing to the listeners and everyone else back to being like, there are more than just 6 people on this show.
Right. And I mean, if you were to see my little notepad, normally I write, next to who goes, like, details. So like CT and Berna, I wrote CT's butt out, Yeah. Several of these partners, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I have nothing next to them, because they didn't give us any details. They didn't give us anything to go by. So it was just, they went, they completed it. Good for them.
Yep.
So the winners are Tori and Ed.
By a second.
TJ
points that out.
Second place was Coriel and Michelle. So it was that close, but now here we have these rookies that, it's not looking good for them. Josh seemed sad, and Devin said, "Oh, for sure, I think you got third. No question." Just stroking his ego a little bit, which I thought was nice. Devin was everybody was needing reassurance and advice from Devin this episode, more than the other episodes so far.
Okay.
So, it's, Devin and Tori talking after, they win. Tori says she wants Big T because she's got this, vendetta with her from
previous
last season
which
because,
happens. Yep.
She voted her in against Anissa. She ended up losing and going home. Devin, thank God, says no. This is going to draw a line in the sand. This is going to put something, our whole, truce, that's going to stop it.
Sure.
And
can I say that during our episode 00 podcast, this is your what would bananas do moment.
Oh.
Bananas would be like, no, now's not your time. You can do it, whatever else. I know Kyle dabbles a little bit later, and we'll talk about the editing with Kyle with that, but this is your what would bananas do moment for
you're
Devin.
right. That is a what would bananas do. Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I love Big T. She's a sweetie pie. She really grew as a challenger last season, but she is not a threat. Why were you even considering putting Big T in right now? Right now, you're wanting the big rookies to go in against themselves, so one of the good rookies goes home. Period.
My theory, much like when Fessy does his thing, previous episode, we're gonna mend bridges. I think she thought this was gonna be good television. I think Tori doesn't understand yet, like Anissa does, how to make it. Now Devin knows how to do it, and how Bananas does. I think she thought this was going to be good television.
Oh,
that's my own theory.
So it wasn't game strategy; it was TV strategy.
Because you have Devin do it.
It didn't work.
And Kyle, no, it doesn't at all, not at all. And that's why I don't think Tori actually is even close to saying that she in the nominee to winning this episode.
No,
she has one shining moment, and that's a Deliberation, and she's cut off automatically by Ashley. So and I did like the Deliberations a lot.
Yeah.
And I did like what she said, but I think that was the only shining moment that Tori had. I think she thought she was making good TV.
Yeah. Yeah, that's too bad.
Because Big T, I mean, I do have things to say about Big T. I have things to say about Casey. I think they're tiers of different veterans, and we'll get to that. Because when it comes to, but when it gets close to after Deliberations, and we'll talk to what Casey says about Tori and everything else.
Oh, I don't even know if I caught that. You'll have to fill me in.
Yeah.
So after, the challenge, then, Tommy gets back and he's going home. He has a concussion. He's upset.
Sure. He's got 2 feet. He's got 2 hands. He only has 1 head.
Right, exactly.
So,
yeah.
I mean,
he's like, I could have done it if it was a broken wrist. I could just do, But,
I mean, that analogy, I was just like, yeah, I get it. Concussion, it's terrible, and we can't do that in this day and age. But it's just like, if I was a broken hand, I had 2 feet. If I was a broken leg, I have 2 legs.
They would make you go home anyway.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. You have 1 head. Yeah. All right. Good analogy.
So we go into the Deliberation.
Yes.
Tori comes in very energetic, very positive. Like, I just want to tell you guys, great job. That challenge was hard. Good job, everybody.
Yeah.
And you know what? I like that. Let's come.
I did too.
Her partner's giving her this new positivity, and she's like, yes. You know what I mean? And Ashley just stomps on her immediately.
Absolutely not, Tori. We can stop cheersing each other, and we can stop patting each other on the back.
We're here to put people in, and yada yada. And then Huey has the line of the night. He goes, "Jesus Christ, Cruella."
Yeah.
It was so good.
I was trying to figure out who said it at the time because I don't think it went straight to him. And he's like, "Yeah, Jesus Christ, Cruella." It was great.
Oh, it was so good because it was. It was geez.
I know, calm down. Can we just can we enjoy it for a moment? Yeah, she's just like, "No, let's get after it."
Yeah, the words were hardly out of Tori's mouth, and she was like, "Meh." So Tasha and Jeremiah, they see the writing on the wall. They're pretty sure that they're going to go in. And then they say, okay, against 2. I think Devin said.
Okay. This is
Yeah,
where
you're
Devin
better explaining
This is
the
where Devin
Deliberation.
becomes great in this episode, okay? He says 2 things. He says, I'm always going to ask the same thing. If not you, then who? Name someone. And we'll get to that in a second. But the other thing he says is, we all know Tommy's gone. This is the most obvious thing that's happening.
Yes.
He goes, we all know Tommy's gone. More than likely, this is going to be a female-only challenge. And the light bulbs go off by anyone that's ever watched a challenge in the last 5 years, 10 years, anything with TJ. I'm sorry, TJ's final. And it's like, absolutely, this is a female challenge. 100% this is a female layer, we'll say.
Layer.
Okay? And it's just like, makes all the sense in the world. And this is where it's going to get weird about the male thing, and we're going to talk about why they picked Coriel. And I'm like, it is. It's just females only. So he says two things. That's if not you, then who? Okay, let's go back to that. Tasha just goes out and says,
Michelle and Coriel.
And Coriel goes, well, why? And she just goes, why does she?
I have to say Michelle and Coriel. She says, I have to.
And then gives everything in. I'm going to be completely honest. Yeah, I'm more towards the veterans and everything else because I know their characters and the players. And she's like, because we're rookies and this is the way it goes. And he's like, but why does it have to be that way? And I'm looking at it like, he's right. Why did you just say because we're all rookies? And it's not.
It's like they haven't understood it yet that like they need to work together.
How do you not see it?
I don't know.
And you have, later on, you have the one-on-one with Corey, not Coriel, going, it's going to be working out better for the veterans. So it was just so weird that she's like, because I'm supposed to say rookies?
Right.
And so they get voted in. No one else really talks. Devin gives, obviously, the foreshadowing of, like, it's going to be, and it clearly is just going to be that way.
And then same thing is they really want Big T to talk. They say, if you've got something to say.
She's not going to say anything. And she does say something, and her and Tori kind of have this moment back and forth, and Tori's like, well, you threw me in. She's like, well, I know I tossed your name in, and you went home, and she's like, well, yeah, and then they
Ashley joins in.
Yes.
Yeah, because she's like, look, like I can be friends with people and not be working with them. Just like you're close with people, you're close with people, you're close with people. All the people she said that were close together are very obviously working together.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of strange. But then that's when Tori says, you take those people who are close to each other and put them in against each other.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of quiet for a minute. And then Ashley's like, oh, and you're my friend and you did it to me too.
Yeah. I felt like maybe, and I don't think Edit Team was good in this episode at all. I felt like maybe Tori was taking something that was said by Big T earlier and using it against her. You take those people that you're working with and do it, because the whole thing about Big T is she's working both sides.
Right.
So I truly thought I really thought Edit Team was so bad in this episode that I thought that was something that was said and regurgitated back to, or the game of telephone to Tori, that Big T said this, you take the people that are working together and they put them in against each other. And the way she looked at her and leaned over and almost like pointed at her, I was just like, she's using her own words against her. So I'm only speculating, but that's the way I felt about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, they vote in Tasha and Jeremiah. We knew that was going to happen. And then there's Tori, Big T, and Kyle go outside and talk. Why was Kyle there?
The Kyle situation was...
I just don't understand.
The same thing. He's like, listen, don't do it. You're going against the... so she's saying, I think I might put you in. She's talking to Big T.
Is he like mediator?
Your name might be there. And then Kyle I can't handle Kyle with, I guess, almost a full beard, and then the one-on-one confessional with just down to just scruff beard. I'm like, this isn't working out for me. Like, I just don't, it doesn't look good.
He looked different this episode. I don't know if like he had like sunburn
I'm with you. What was it?
Or if like maybe like he'd gotten hit by a rock and he was like a little swollen.
Yeah.
Like he didn't look like himself this episode.
But the one-on-ones, and then being just out there, he didn't. I don't know if it was a shave or any, like, that's where I was like, the editing is off on this whole thing. So he's trying to say like, Tori, what are you doing? You're going to, if you do this, you're going against the vets, and he's trying to say that to her in front of Big T, and so and then you have KC say the same thing,
and he does. He's like, if you say her name, then that essentially means the alliance is over. The vet alliance is over.
I disagree. Big T is in her second season, third season. Casey's in her third season. There are tiers here in the veterans.
I absolutely agree with you. But if they're doing this whole vets are not voting each other off yet thing, once it happens to one person, does not matter how long they've been in the show or not, then it's free game.
It's going to happen eventually if they pick everyone off, then they're still going to say like, well, this is only your third challenge. They're going to start using against it. Listen, I like Casey. I liked her on Big Brother.
Loved her on Big Brother.
She's third season doing this. I don't like her one-on-one confessional being like, Tori, what are you doing? And this is during the deliberation. Tori, what are you doing? You don't bring up the name like that. You don't whatever. This is veteran. We have alliance. And I'm looking at it like, Casey, this is your third season. Don't call out Tori. And I'm not saying I'm a Tori supporter, but I'm just like, Casey, shut up. Let it go for a little bit. And same thing with like Big T, like, well, I'm part of this alliance. Well, not really, Big T. You're just not there yet. You're not. There's just, for some reason, I don't know what it is. You just get to a certain level, and then you're like, oh, yeah. And I don't know what it is. It's not run into a final. I don't know where it is for me, where the checklist is. But they're just not there yet. And Casey's been to 2 finals. This is her third season, 2 finals, no wins. But it's still like, I think you need to also capture the episode socially. Do you know what I'm saying? Like the way Devin does, the way Bonanza does, the way Kyle does, Anissa will, Nani will. Where you can take over.
Didn't even see any Nani tonight.
No, not at all. Ashley will. As much as I don't like her, Ashley will. You can take over an episode.
Right.
Nelson will. Corey will.
I got you. Okay, I get what you mean. I did kind of agree with Casey, though, when she did say that, though. You know, it felt too soon for that to even be something to come up. But
it's not that I'm not agreeing with her.
But going back to what you said, I think Tori was, she's probably trying to make a good, like, little switcheroo for the TV.
Yeah, I 100% think she thought that she was going to make good television, and she did not. And this entire week or whatever this episode did nothing for MTV, and MTV did nothing back to help anybody in this.
Yeah.
So
Tasha, so Tori goes up to Tasha and just like, hey, like, who do you want to go against? You know, and she's like, well, I said Michelle before, so I'm just going to stick with Michelle. And then, you know, you see Tasha in her interview and she's like, you know, when I first met Tori, I thought she was so fake. But now I'm like, oh, maybe she's like really sweet. You know, and obviously that's the biggest foreshadowing ever.
Yeah. Are you kidding me? Because that's a good ending. That's a good send-off, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so we get down to the lair, and it's Tasha and Jeremiah. And then they vote in Berna, who there was a little bit of talk of putting Berna in. But it still kind of surprised me a little bit. And then Coriel.
Okay, that's where we're going to go. So the Berna thing, there was talk about it. And that's where we have Ashley saying, if she goes in, it's killing 2 stones with 1 bird.
Right.
And vice versa. And that's what we started off the episode with and what I was talking about. And then... I
mean, and obviously she's a good competitor. Like, we've been seeing that she's been pretty consistent.
Yeah, and I'm in the circus, and I need to compete. I know how to compete. I need to show up. And it's a lot of, like, building yourself up in the one-on-ones that she's doing. Okay, now... take me through the Coriel nomination. Was there more to it than them just voting in Coriel? Okay, now, as a challenge fan, what I want to ask you is this.
Oh, why did they vote him in?
Yeah.
I don't know. They've done that twice now. Because it wasn't that's not his partner.
If you're smart enough, like we just
because he's a rookie?
If you're smart enough that...
Ooh, this is less blood on the hands, to use a Big Brother term. Yes. I liked how you walked me through it. You let me get there on my own. That was nice.
I'm trying to figure out, because I was like, this is so wrong for them to do it.
But it is. It's because they've said his name before.
And that way you're not... And because, like what we said earlier in the show...
Create new enemies.
Is that if they're smart enough to know that it's probably... Tommy's gone, it's going to be female only, we're going to say his name knowing that he's not going in. Instead of throwing in a Huey or anyone else, any other rookie, and then creating something else to be like, hey, we're throwing in there, and then come back later with your tail between your legs and go, we knew it was a female.
Right.
We only did it because we knew you were going to. Yeah. He's not. He's already pissed. And it's only going to make him a little more pissed. That's it. But he's going to be like, he's still going to remember the first people that threw him in, not the second one.
True.
I mean, and I
Yeah,
wish they would
right.
show that, and hopefully they do
I really
next
feel
episode.
bad that this poor guy just keeps getting crapped on.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a good competitor though,
Mm-hmm.
so I do get him getting voted in. But as much as I love all the vets, I would like to see him win a daily and have a little power just once.
Sure.
You know, but just
I agree
don't
with
touch my CT.
yeah.
Don't do it.
I'm with you. So I think, like I said, you and I have been watching this long enough, and a little bit of Big Brother to it. But I would like to have more from the editing and be like, this is why we're throwing him in, because
Right.
we know. But maybe production, maybe they did. And production's like, we don't want them to let them know that they figured out our game or whatever.
Yeah, it's true. If there was just like a little clip of like someone talking to, like Tori and being
Yeah.
like, hey, this makes sense. Da, 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 da.
Or how about you just give me that late night happy hour thing where they're at the bar and they have, hey, just to let you know, hey, they're having cocktails. Like, this is the only reason why I threw in, like, hey, no problem. They knuckle up, like, hey, next time, I'll ally with you and I won't throw your name in if I win again. I just had to do it that one time. I just needed to not create any blood. So those are the things they need to show. But if it didn't happen that way, then it didn't happen that way.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of pizzazz.
So did you like this? Talking about not pizzazz, did you like this final?
So it was called Slipping Up. They build a ladder and they've got the different, lengths and they got to climb, and of course immediately I'm like, well, this is going to be Berna's thing. She's, trapeze artist. Did I like it? Well, if I have to think about it right now, that's a no.
I don't think you need to think too much about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was just another I mean, I liked that it added a little bit of drama that, they could fall, and so it made it even often.
Sure.
It seemed like it went on for a while.
It sure did.
And I put that it was wobbly AF, so that would be challenging because you'd be climbing and then maybe your knee would hit it and something would fall.
Oh, they mentioned your knee quite a bit, but I still do not think it was that challenging.
Yeah.
Now, here's the other thing.
And then you got go ahead.
When we go to editing, is it because in your mind you see it, or was it edited out before somehow? When Berna's nose, the crown of it, starts bleeding, and then they go to one-on-one confessional, then you see that she has a cut. Mm-hmm. But you never noticed it before. Did they edit it, or is it just your brain? That's
I don't know. I mean, I remembered her bleeding because I remembered it from the trailers of her in an elimination bleeding.
But when she goes to one-on-one, then you can finally see the cut over the bridge of her nose. And then I'm like, did I not notice it before?
Was it there the whole time?
Or did they edit it? So it was there the whole time? Yeah. Okay, well, the producer says that.
Well, we're just a bunch of dummies.
My eyes didn't see it then.
Apparently we don't stare at people's noses.
Yeah.
So that's our homework for next week.
But no, that's great to know, because I was like, I really wanted to give a thumbs up to editing for this, for the hiding it. But
see, I just thought, because I know I've heard from people that the day after they get eliminated, then they have like 2 days of doing, the interview stuff with the green screen from, what just happened. So I just assumed that was what she'd done after. But well,
one more thumbs up to our producer. Speaking of green screens.
How about our background?
Yeah,
Isn't it freaking cool?
Yeah, I know.
We're in the lair tonight.
Yeah.
The super fun Slipping Up lair. So, Berna wins. Kyle makes a joke about how, in one year he's got Nelly rooting for Berna.
Oh, yeah.
The other year he's got, Ashley rooting for Tasha, which that was pretty darn funny. And then after, Berna wins, Tasha says goodbye to everyone super nice. And then she's not so nice anymore.
Yeah.
She says that Tori's a fake ass bitch. Mm-hmm. Tori's trying to say stuff back, and she's like, no. I mean, she tells her to stop like several times.
Yeah. I've got 2 times as many Instagram followers as you. I'm going to talk right now.
No kidding. It was, whoo. Would not want to make that woman mad.
No.
Mm-mm. And TJ gave us a good one.
Yes, he did.
So he says to Tasha, he says, really hope we see you in the future.
That's right.
He really hopes to see her in the future.
I don't know why, but okay.
Kel's got take care.
Yeah, what? I know.
Kel's got take care.
Again, I don't know why, but if TJ gives a stamp of approval, then I
We're
co-sign.
gonna see her. Yeah,
I
for
co-sign,
sure.
yeah.
And from what I saw, she seems cool. And obviously she can bring the followers. She can bring some drama.
Of course,
she was a decent competitor for the most part, other than this challenge that's kind of a throwaway. So Berna says this quote.
Yeah, what was it? I'm so happy you wrote that down.
I didn't write it down.
It doesn't matter because I
yeah.
don't remember. It's like in my country we have the saying, and it's
if
like
you start something with somebody, and then I don't.
I thought the exact same thing.
And we're like, what's happening?
Should I remember this?
I'm confused.
Like,
and so she decides to stick with CT.
Yeah.
We see CT then in his interview, and he's like, "Suck it, Devin," because Devin has been picked like every time, which I love. We got Jeremiah now going to be with Big T.
Yeah.
And then the preview for next week looks pretty good. Mm-hmm. It looks like we're finally going to see some fireworks. I didn't really write down anything about the preview, but it looked like Josh is going to like lose it a little bit.
Of course.
So we're finally almost there. But yeah, the things I wrote down, there was no snakes mentioned, no Josh crying. We had some nosebleeds.
Two nosebleeds. Well, the bridge of one and another nosebleed. Yeah.
No Ramadan talk.
No.
So it was just kind of a meh. But we do still need to talk about our categories.
Sure.
So who won for you?
Wow. Well, now that our producer told us that the cut on the bridge of the nose was there, it's not editing because it was going to be a win and loss. And when I was thinking about this, win and loss was going to be editing for me. Who won this episode? I guess I'll give it to the walk off by Tosh winning it.
Yeah,
I mean,
Tosh, that was good.
I enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. It was I'm talking and we look forward to seeing you soon, Tej, whatever else. I mean, it was quiet and the best thing you said about it, the foreshadowing, like she seems like a sweetheart and everything else, but I like that a lot. Mm-hmm. I can't give it to Devin every week.
No,
but he's an honorable mention.
Doing great.
And but it was a very quiet honorable mention. Mm-hmm. Tori wishes that she would be an honorable mention. She's not going to get it. It's Tasha's walk off to me. It was a mic drop.
I gotta go Huey.
Okay, that's good.
He's on my radar now. And I just wanted to hug him and just feel the cheeks. Good for you. Good job. You swim fast. And he had that great line about Cruella.
That was good too.
That was good.
Because that came out of nowhere. Yeah.
And it was. Everyone was just like.
Yeah.
And most people just let her have that moment. And he was like,
And it was a weird time for Ashley to do it. You're in deliberations because you could have easily put a target on your back to do that.
Right.
So
she feels very safe right now.
And he's calling out his own partner too, which makes it even better.
Yeah, it's endearing.
I'll actually give that to you. Yeah, I think that's the one that wins.
Cringeworthy. I think we have the same one.
Yeah.
Nelly being soup's creepy about Berna.
Yeah.
At the end when she wins the elimination and he says something like, the bed's gonna be warm for you.
Yeah, he's got like three different one-on-ones. He says, he did say come back.
So weird.
That was the final one out of three. He had like three different one-on-ones, and that was the final one where I'm like, and he really did like.
It was so weird.
He had three ones that were just like, oh boy, and.
I really like Nelly, but that was just creepy, strange. No,
it was just so
very cringeworthy.
He gets the entire episode, not just that one scene.
Right?
Or whatever
Because it was. You're right.
Even when
he's
like sitting there talking there, and what Corey saying you're Romeo and Juliet. I don't think so. And he's like,
did they read the play? Do they know how that works?
And he's like, if they say your name, Corey's like, if they say your name, he's probably going to throw himself in front of you. So like, no, I'm going in. And Ashley can hear on the other side. And I was like, this is all weird.
It's been, the girl like a week.
You guys lived down the block from each other, didn't you? You remember 2 episodes ago, because I do. You said that you guys moved like right down the block from each other. So you nailed it there. Yeah.
I think Nelly is the type that he's always going to like that shiny new toy. Every single time he's going to pick the shiny new toy over something else that he has.
It's going to happen.
I think every single time.
That whole, my apologies, I blew up at you, but it's not really an apology. Mm-hmm. And sorry that you feel this way, but meanwhile, he's like eating oatmeal at the same time. It's like, this isn't sincere.
No.
So,
you said kind of a little bit about what would bananas do.
Yeah, it was.
That would be that moment.
It was Devin in there, and seriously, that's the one thing that stood out the most out of, like, if you're gonna think of like gameplay, where it was really Devin being like, it's a girl elimination, guys, or if not you, then who? And it was so bad of them just to throw out rookies, because you have to look at it and go, they're all against us.
Right.
And they just didn't.
There have been seasons past where the rookies have figured this out and, like, counted the numbers.
Yes.
Why is this not happening now?
They did it last episode. We said we gave them credit when they were, like, splitting up. When Ed said, I'm taking Tori.
Right.
And then I'm like, oh, they see not to do rookie
Right.
combinations. They're getting it. And then this situation, like, not
getting
you, then
it.
who? And they're like, other rookies. Like, why? Why? Say, and Corey even said, you haven't said why yet. Well, you're just rookies. Like, that, it looked awful on them. And I just didn't know about this edit, if it was so much that we'll get to know these people because they're the next generation. And I'm like, I don't want to get to know stupid.
Right.
What I want to get to know, I want to get to know people who learn the game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and realistically speaking, with Tasha saying, the rookies, is it kind of like what happened later with Coriel? They knew that it was going to happen anyway, so why would they say someone else's name and get more blood on their hands instead of just focus on the elimination and try to win and come back?
Again, I have to say you're right, because I think editing was so poor in this episode that I think you're right. And during deliberations, it probably was brought up like, well, I don't want to say a veteran because they're just going to come after me if I don't, so I have to do it. I just think editing was so terrible during this episode. And when you say we have a category, who had the best edit? All right, who had the worst edit? MTV. Sorry. But best edit, I don't know in this situation.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Tori lost the episode, though.
100%.
That was...
She totally thinks like she's the one that thinks like she won the episode, and she didn't. And
I like her. I was happy to see her be partners with Ed. Happy they won the...
Yes.
But just... Yeah, the big T thing was just... It just fell so flat.
Well, think about what we said at the beginning of the show. Ed, sunshine, sweetheart of a human being. He seems great.
Oh my God, yes.
This is awesome. We're really excited for him.
Mr. Congeniality.
Yeah. And then you have Tori, and the whole time he's just kind of sitting there. He just
he didn't say anything.
No,
but he's smart. He knows. He's like, all you. But
and she had that one moment, and the only thing in deliberation, I thought she was fine, but she was interrupted right away, and Ashley stole any type of thunder she could have had to win the episode.
It's true.
Yeah.
Well,
whose stock is rising in this at all? It's got to be a rookie stock, because it was all about that. Is anyone?
Ed, for sure.
Ed's stock is skyrocketing.
Huey's on my radar. I like the just interesting personalities. Sometimes it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be the best competitor, but he does have a boxing background. Anyway, who else I would like to see more of Priscilla. That's Nellie's partner. I think she's good, but we're not getting to see any of it.
No.
Bettina's been doing pretty good too.
There's so many people that just not even on the screen.
We're still so early in the season. There's so many people that's just going to happen. And unfortunately, there is going to be that period every episode for probably the next 3 where they just zoom through the middle third of competitors.
Sarah, then this is why it's bad editing. For an hour and a half, this is bad editing if we only are talking about 6 people out of this many. Bettina had to do something. Corey had to do something. Corey can't create Bettina. Anissa can't create her partner to do something else during their one-on-ones or whatever else. Then this is why it's bad editing.
Yeah, you're right.
We're not exploring new characters. We're not falling in love with possible new challenge people that we're going to see in 5 years. This is why this episode falls on MTV bad editing.
Yeah.
This is almost like they hit a grand slam in episode 2 and they're like, we're just going to take the next episode off.
That grand slam, they partied a little too much, celebrated a little too much. They're hungover on this episode, so they're like, it's fine.
Because we don't really talk about Priscilla. I don't even know who Priscilla is, to be honest with you.
She's beautiful. That says
Bettina,
a lot about
I know her laugh, and that's what I want to see. And I want to see more of her and Corey, their talk before. Like, how can you not do that before jumping in the water, doing that challenge?
Oh my gosh.
And have her laugh or whatever else. And Corey, again, doing the look like, What are you doing?
Right.
Because people, they love that
endearing,
stuff.
yeah.
And so I just think this was bad editing on MTV.
Yeah.
And like you said, we made eye contact here, and you just said, before we even started recording, you go, eh. And I go, can't wait to talk about it, because it was, good job. I mean, this is episode 3, but it could be called episode,
Right.
All right. Yeah.
Do we have any predictions? Jesus, I hope that fight is soon.
Josh, obviously, it says the previews looks like Josh is going to really get after it. And so we think it's Josh and Fessy.
Oh, for sure.
Fessy did give his nonverbal kind of look one time today, deliberations, I think it was. He gives, like, he's disapproving of everything. He's like, I don't approve of everything going on here.
I'm not mad that there wasn't a whole lot of Fessy
But
tonight.
I just don't like his nonverbal. It's just like, I don't approve of any of this. And it's almost like Fessy doesn't approve, so we should just stop doing everything. Because his look
so
was
arrogant.
Yeah. And I could care less if he approved or not, but I am glad that they threw it in just so I could complain about it.
He breathed. Didn't
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it.
yeah. I don't like the way,
So, I lost my bet about Josh crying. I said episode 2.5. So proud of you, man, for holding out. But obviously sad that I lost. So
Next month he will.
Next month.
Like what I did there, yeah.
What else you got? Anything else?
No, I don't really have much.
I know.
Again, it would be, as far as like previews for the next week, it would have been good if editing could give us that softball, that volleyball, or whatever else to spike at home, but it just wasn't much. Like you said, you have Goldmine like Kyle, and weird, like, now Kyle's here and in interaction, and he's going to talk about, but there was nothing with Devin. There was, you said Nani was not, I mean, they had
Not at all.
one shot, I think, in the lair that was her. That was it. Maybe in the face. And Nisa, same thing. There was one picture of her.
And we saw them at the beginning, but that's about it.
But nothing big where it's like, okay, so hopefully this bad editing is a calm before the storm.
Yes.
And maybe we come back next week and we go, well, good job, everybody.
Right. I'm
You
fine
caught
with
us.
that.
You caught us.
I can deal with this valley if we have a mountain.
You
come
caught
up.
us. You caught us where we're like, hey, we completely broke you guys down and said like, hey, that's not a good thing, and then turn around and be like, you got us, because there was something big brewing the entire time.
Oh my God. I need it. All right.
All right. No, I again, and it was as far as not the build up, but I think it gave us enough to talk about and be like, like what's going on here, this and that. And I think out of all the times, if we can sit there and say these things about MTV and be like how great the show is, maybe we do need episodes like this as far as this show goes and the podcast to say like, there's some trouble sometimes, and this was a bad one. It
Absolutely.
really, really was.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, like, was there more that they were working with? Did they have some sort of technical difficulty where they lost some of their footage? What happened and why?
Now, since we just talked about this, and this is something that we're doing live, it's not anything scripted, I do feel like next episode we're going to be like, mind blown, because they were waiting for this. Like, there was just so much in between 2 and 4 that 3 was just kind of like, and they just had too much time. I mean, they had too much stuff to do.
I hope so.
And they didn't want to give too much away in between. So I'm going to go out on a limb and predict that 4 is going to be great.
4 is going to be the best one yet so far? All right. We're going to see fighting?
Yes.
Are we going to see
Drama.
hookups?
All the people we want to see. Yeah, hookups.
some-
Ashley and Berna are going to get into it. CT's going to do something stupid.
Can he please pretend like he's eating popcorn while someone's fighting? I
Sure.
love when
Yeah,
he does
CT will
that.
be there. There'll be something that he does, and so Ashley Berna will get into it. Josh is going to do something stupid, and Fessy's going to
And Kyle's going to egg it on.
absolutely.
Oh, yes, all the
yeah.
things.
Yes. So I think
It's like my Christmas list.
yeah, it's like
my Christmas
you can't
list
get, you
for my
can't
next
give us
episode.
you can't give the challenge fans everything they want every episode, because like you said, like we were talking about, maybe you have to build up characters for 5 years from now.
True.
We may not like it at the time, but we might appreciate it in a couple seasons.
Right.
And hopefully we get to talk to our guy.
Kels.
Yeah.
That would be really cool.
And because we've talked about he'll be on again. We think he'll be on again.
Absolutely.
In a couple more seasons. So hopefully in between now and next week, we might have an emergency podcast.
Oh my God, it'd be so exciting.
Yeah, that'd be
Never
great.
know.
Yeah. So,
All right, so follow us on Instagram, Final Alliance, Twitter, Final Alliance 1, Final Alliance Podcast on, wherever you get your podcasts.
as always, thanks to Skylark.
Yep, thanks to Skylark. Haha, represent.
I did like that. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Have a good night.
Yep.
Or day or whatever.
See you, challenge fans.
We're still new.